Right, next up, one of the biggest computer games of all time. It's called World of Warcraft. It's a role-playing game in which you can create an online character known as an avatar, something like a dwarf or an elf, and then guide that character through a massive virtual world. Because it gets played online, hundreds of people can play it simultaneously and then interact.
You look very cute.
Yeah.
The game is one of the most popular ever released, with more than 7.5 million people paying the monthly £10 subscription. Now, to keep them interested, every few years the makers Blizzard Entertainment release an expansion pack. This unveils new parts of the virtual world with new features and new storylines. The latest expansion pack costs around £40 a time. It's called Warlords of Draenor. It arrived this month to much fanfare, with more than 1.5 million customers pre-ordering so they could play it on the first day.
However, the launch didn't go well, with the manufacturer's Blizzard admitting to stumbling out of the gates. In other words, it released the game before it was actually ready, leaving players fuming. So what went wrong? Now, to find out, I needed to investigate the world of computer games from the inside. So may I introduce Chris the Wise, the wizard of Watchdog.
Oh, lovely, and he's got your little leg.
Yes, and my double chins. Thanks for that graphics. Right, Chris the Wise, your quest is to find out exactly what's happening with this game. Go on, off you go.
Computer games used to look very different in my day. I was very much a Space Invaders kind of guy. But in the last 20 odd years, a lot has changed.
World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor.
It was adverts like this that excited long-time World of Warcraft fan Luke Coyne, who's an IT technician by day, but Trek Rios, the undead rogue, by night.
I was looking forward to this expansion a hell of a lot, because it was finally going to revive the World of Warcraft, because it had been, in my opinion, dying for such a long time. I was very, very excited.
The first step to playing Warlords of Draenor is logging on to the game's virtual world, but when Luke tried to do that on the day of release, he knew immediately there was a problem.
You would log in and you would attempt to join. You would be greeted by a screen that told you you were in a queue. And the number of the queue, for one thing, it would just go up. It was going up and up and up. I tried a good couple of times to actually stay in the queue and see it through to see if I'd be able to join. I think as far as I got in a queue was about 3 hours, and then it would disconnect. And at that point, you would be, upon attempting to reconnect, you would be put straight to the back of the queue again.
Some players were asked to wait over 3,000 minutes to play the game. That's more than 2 days. So, could this have been avoided? Quite simply, yes. Blizzard, the creators of the game, had announced the launch date 8 months before. So, it had ample time to make plans and upgrade its servers to cope with the increased demand. But the 30,000 posts from angry gamers on Blizzard's forum page prove that it just didn't do enough. And it's fair to say, some took it better than others.
3,000 in line! How many people do you let on the server at once? 2!
Whew, emotional stuff, but was the game itself worth the wait? No, according to IT consultant Sean Murphy, who's a night elf hunter.
Shortly after I finally got into the game, I realised this just is not playable. There were just too many people trying to do the same thing at the same time in the same location. There was nothing I could do.
This is what playing the game should look like, but this is what it looked like for players like Sean and Luke.
Every one of these different coloured bars and the corresponding number next to it represents a player. So this is basically hundreds and hundreds of players in the same place, which means the server can't cope, and it makes the game unplayable.
It just made it completely impossible to progress anywhere in the game. Nothing you could do. I paid $9.99 a month for this subscription. I then had to pay £40 on top of the subscription cost for the expansion pack, and it doesn't work. So this month I paid £50 for a product that simply does not work.
Thousands of others made the same sort of complaints online, having to wait hours to join the game, only for it to be virtually unplayable when you finally made it in. And once again, this all could have been avoided if Blizzard had planned ahead and improved their servers. So why hadn't it? After all, it had known how many players to expect for months.
Blizzard really should have seen this coming. They had 1.5 million pre-orders, they clearly knew their server capacity. They clearly knew that these two figures didn't add up, and they did nothing about it.
It makes you feel like you are a cash machine. It makes you feel like you're sitting there shelling out your money with absolutely nothing to show for it. They were taking your money, yet doing the bare minimum they possibly could to make the game something that you would stay playing. As paying customers, as consumers of this product, we have rights, and we have the right to demand that the service at least works when they say it will.
Days spent trying to log on, only to find Warlords of Draenor was as good as unplayable. Not quite the gaming experience customers had paid up for. Perhaps next time Blizzard Entertainment knows it has 1.5 million customers waiting to play one of its releases, it might want to plan ahead a bit better. Otherwise, it might be game over for some of its previously devoted customers.
Well, Blizzard Entertainment says that the launch of Warlords of Draenor was far from seamless. It admits that it underestimated the impact on its servers of so many players wanting to access the game simultaneously. It says it planned to make changes to its infrastructure beforehand, but these efforts were hampered by a virus attack on its network. Now, Blizzard claims that since the release date, it has worked around the clock to fix the problems. Most were fixed within 3 days. It adds it's regularly been communicating its progress to affected customers, all of whom have been offered 5 free days of gameplay. It says the game is now running fine, and it will definitely be learning the lessons of this experience for future launches.
Please keep your stories coming in. In the meantime, here's a few more.
Bad news for the sell money this week.